Chapter 5, Creating Assessments for Learning. When thinking about assessments, they should enhance the student's learning, be a valuable tool for making instructional decisions, and help learners progress. The idea aligns assessments of learning. Students evaluate on what they know, and ideas align with assessments for learning. Students continue evaluated so instructions can be targeted to gaps. End of the year assessments and end of the chapter assessments may have value, but it rarely reveals the type of data you can fine-tune. Summative assessments. A cumulative evaluation takes place after instruction is completed, generates a single score, measures overall progress, does not shape day-to-day decisions. It's like your end of the chapters test or your beginning end of the year evaluation or state assessment. Formative assessments check status of students' development, take place during instruction or as a pre-assessment, provides targeted feedback, also results and evidence used to inform decisions about the next. Also, it identifies where learners are, it identifies the goals for the learners, and identifies pathways to reach these goals. Conceptual understanding is the opportunity to demonstrate how they understand essential concepts in more than one way. Observing as students discuss and justify. In short, procedural fluency should be assessed. Fluency includes the understanding of the procedures. How does this problem work? Problem solving evaluates the reasonableness of an answer. Reasoning justifies solutions, methods, and results. Communication explains ideas in writing using words, pictures, numbers, equations, graphs, tables. Just depends on the grade level. Connections. Make connections between mathematics and the real context or mathematical ideas. Representations. Explain how different representations are connected. Productive disposition. Collecting data on students' ability to preserve as well as their confidence and belief in their own mathematical abilities too. This is obtained with observations, student self-reports, interviews, and writings. Antecedent notes and checklists are a systematic plan for gathering evidence during and after portions of the lesson. The act of professional noticing is the process where you observe learners through focus of three phases: attending, interpreting, and deciding. You want to collect antecedent notes to help understand learners' strategies and interpret their thinking as they plan next steps. That means you attend to every such as if the child is nodding his head, using the fingers to count, etc. Interpreting these gestures, comments, drawings, and actions by making notes of the student's strengths. The last step, decisions for subsequent instructional actions. A checklist helps focus our attention with several specific processes, mathematical practices, or content objectives can be devised. With the checklist, if you notice on both examples, there's areas for comments, but you're also just able to, I can check this, yep, I see it, or I don't see it, they're on target, above and beyond, below. You can also make shorthand gestures, symbols like plus or minus, what they're struggling on. Probing students' thinking through questioning can provide useful data and insights that could inform instruction. Also, your use of questions helps students get past being stuck and promotes their ability to think for themselves. As you circulate around the classroom to observe and evaluate students' understanding, use your questions to help students, not just give them the answer or this is how you do it. Information gathering. What does this sign mean? Student thinking, you can probe it with how does the model you drew relate to this fraction? Mathematics, structure, connections, and relationships. Are both of these expressions equivalent? How do you know? Reflection and justification. How are these two solution strategies you use to solve the problem today alike, different? When would you choose to use one or the other? Interview. Diagnostic interview is a one-on-one investigation of students thinking about a concept, procedure, process, or mathematical practice, hearing students' descriptions of strategies, probing their understanding, ask the questions such as, how do you know they're the same or this is the correct answer? Identify their strengths and gaps. The interview is not a teaching opportunity, making it hard to watch or listen to students make errors and not respond immediately is hard. Instead, use the interview to listen to students' descriptions of their strategies and probe their understanding. Sometimes students self-correct a mistake during an interview, and teachers unearth a student's misunderstanding or reveal what strategies students have mastered or not mastered. Question examples for interviews could be which one's greater, 7/8 or 7/7? Are the two numbers underlined the same, 6 or 561? Have them draw it out. Manipulatives, explaining out loud are all ways to learn what the student knows. Flexibility is a key to the diagnostic interview. Avoid revealing whether an answer is right or wrong. Wait silently for students to answer. Avoid interjecting clues or teaching. Give opportunities for students to share their thinking without interrupting. Be prepared to probe students' thinking. How would you explain this to a second grader or your sibling? Can you explain what you just did? Why did you solve it that way? When you plan for an interview, make sure you have an overall plan that includes an easier task and a more challenging task in case you have misjudged the starting point for your student or students. Tasks refer to products including problem-based tasks, writing, and self-assessment. Problem-based tasks are tasks that connect to actual problem-solving activities used in instruction, such as focus on important mathematical skills and concepts, stimulate connections of students' prior knowledge to their new knowledge, allow multiple solutions, methods, and various tools to use, opportunities for students to correct themselves along the way, occasions for students to confront misconceptions, encourage students to use reasoning and explain their thinking, create opportunities to observe student use of mathematical processes and practices, generate data for instructional decision making. Translation tasks. Use 4 possible representations for concepts. Students are asked, for example, to demonstrate understanding using words, models, numbers, and word problems. Okay, you can have them tell a story or write a word problem that matches the equation, illustrate the equation with materials, models, and drawings, explain their thinking about their process of arriving at an answer, and describe the meaning of the operation. Students' ability to communicate how they solve a problem is critical for open response questions on many summative assessments. Translation tasks can be used for whole class lessons or for individual or small group diagnostics. Rubrics and their use. Analyzing problem-based learning through formative and summative assessments provide large amounts of information. A rubric is a scale based on a predetermined criteria serving 2 important functions. They permit students to see what is central to excellent performance, provides scoring guidelines for teaching that supports equitable analysis of students' work. You can include criteria for solve the problems accurately and effectively, preserved and demonstrates resilience, explain strategies, use justification, use logical reasoning, express and graphs numerical relationships, communicated with precise language and accurate in units, identifies general patterns of ideas that repeat. Generic rubrics identify broad categories of performance and therefore can be used for multiple assessments. Generic rubrics allow a teacher to score performances by first sorting into 2 broad categories. Not there yet and got it. Under the not there yet, you have 1 for little accomplishment, 2 partial accomplishment, 3 substantial accomplishment, and 4 fully accomplished. For effective use of rubrics. Self-check by writing out indicators for proficient or on target before using the task. Be aware of these indicators. If they are drill or practice, task-specific rubric is not right. 2. Post your rubric and make it a habit to discuss students' performance in terms of the rubric. Sometimes unexpected methods and solutions do happen. There's many ways to solve multiple problems. Don't limit students demonstrating their understanding only as you thought they would. And sharing indicators ahead of time clearly conveys what is valued and expected. Try to use the same rubrics over and over if you can, if the task at hand allows it. This is an example of an observational rubric. Remember, determining performance indicators is always a subjective process. Notice that there's only 3 categories on this one, but you can still use the 1, 2, 3, 4 method. Like a 4 determines the total number of cupcakes based on the amount of each equal share using words, pictures, numbers to explainify and justify the results. 3 determines the correct answer or uses an approach that would yield the correct answer if not for minor errors. 2, use some aspects of fractions appropriately, and 1 shows some effort but little or no understanding. Student self-assessment. It represents a measure of the student's learning, records how they perceive their strengths and weaknesses, assessment of their own progress, methods to gathering this data, exit slip on a paper or web application, open-ended prompts. Write 2 of the important things you learned in class today. Which problems did you find most challenging or the easiest? What are your strengths in learning mathematics this week? How well do you think you understand the work you have been doing on fractions? Or what mathematical processes do you do or don't understand? Student self-assessment should not be the only measure of a student's learning or disposition, but rather a record of how the student perceives their abilities. The usefulness of tests need to go beyond requiring students to demonstrate only procedural knowledge. Tests need to be designed so they match the goals of the student's instruction. Test considerations permit technology when appropriate. Permit students to use manipulatives and drawings. Permit students also to have discussions, include opportunities for explanation, and use open-ended questions. Also include quizzes done in collaboration with a peer. External tests need to be part of your assessment plan. Teach the big ideas in mathematics curriculum that are aligned to your state and local standards. Identify the broad conceptual foundations in the standards and select problem-based tasks that foster this understanding. Pressure certainly have an effect on instruction because you will likely not be able to avoid the pressure of high-stake testing. The question becomes, how will you respond? Grade is a statistic to communicate to others the achievement level. Accuracy and validity dependent on information used to generate the grade, professional judgment of the teacher, and alignment of assessments with goals and objectives of the instruction should be used with other information about students' work. Problem-solving processes, attitude, and beliefs. What gets graded by the teacher is what gets valued by the students. Using observation, interviews, exit slips, journals, and rubric scores to provide feedback and encourage a pursuit of excellence must also relate to the grade. Grading must be based on performances for which you assign rubric ratings. Otherwise, students will soon realize that these scores are not important. The grade at the end of the marking period should reflect a holistic view of where the student is relative to the grade level goals.